So for us, every visit starts and usually ends at Santorini Moo, my Santorini. And this is the view you see when you walk in from the front of the restaurant. You can see McAllis sitting at the front, greeting his guests. And that is Thomas, McAllis, and Heidi, enjoying seeing each other again for the first time in 5 years. And yes, that can happen. So let's start off with a little music from McAllis and Thomas.
Sorry.
So this is the place we stayed at Lantita Villas, right up the street from Ia, and that's a view of the villas from the caldera side. And of course, your view outside of your room every day is spectacular, the largest caldera in the world. And that's a view from lunch at a place we used to eat in Ia, or we ate at once. And again, a view from Ia, looking down at a ferry that goes from island to island. And finally, the world famous pictures of Ia. Now, this next picture, we happen to be walking up through Ia on Sunday, and we saw this church, and this was what was coming out of it. They had a loudspeaker outside during their service. So for our next excursion, we decided to go down there, walk down there to a Moody Bay, only 250 steps. And when we got down there, we were so exhausted that we saw a restaurant, immediately stopped and ate, and that was our view. Didn't eat, got something cold to drink. Told them we'd be back. And in the meantime, they were hanging out octopus to dry, sun-dried octopus, and of course, my favorite, sun-dried anchovies. So off we go. We look pretty healthy. We're ready for the journey around the corner over to the beach, and what could possibly go wrong? So, crawling over the lava rocks, we finally arrived at the beach. And beaches in Santorini are piles of rocks where there just happens to not be a cliff. And you can see it was beautiful. The problem was once you dove in and walked off these steps, you couldn't get back out. So after I engineered how we were going to get out, then I finally went in and went swimming. It was beautiful. You can see people are diving off the cliff over there. We came back, had a great time with our waiter. He was a piece of work, very funny guy. And I actually made sure I was there to get a picture too. And then finally, they loved us so much, they painted a mural of us on the restaurant when we left. And by the way, at that restaurant, do not flush toilet paper down, or a shark will come out and bite you in the rear end. One of our favorite things to do a few times during our trips is to eat dinner on our balcony overlooking the caldera. $1 million view. We do this at least once or twice when we're in Santorini. We get the food from Santorini Moo across the street and watch the sunset from our balcony. Not too shabby. So this is Yellows. This is down from Fira, right on the water. It's a beautiful restaurant. You can pay a little extra and sit in this table that's shaped like a boat if you want to. And this particular night, we're going to skip Santorini Moo and go to a place just up the road that we can walk to. This is us outside the villa overlooking the caldera. But up we go to Fenicia's Memories. And it's just a beautiful place with a beautiful sunset view. That's us out on the terrace waiting for the sun to go down. And when it does go down, the magic really happens. The sky turns beautiful blue and pink. It's really something to see. And then, of course, back up to The next night, Santorini Moo again. We have way too much fun there, I guess. And one of the things, of course, there's a lot of cats walking around. That's part of the entertainment. But the owner, Mahalis, keeps everybody's pictures on the walls. He used to keep them in books, but now he painstakingly wires them to the wall. Thousands of pictures. But in the back room, if you know what year you were there, you can find the books all pasted with pictures. This is Heidi and Cynthia and Michael from 2001 at a wedding, and that's Heidi with some girls she had met there after Michael and Cynthia left, and you can find the notes you wrote. And one of the reasons we keep going back to Santorini Move is you never know what's going to happen.
Gotta be young for that one.
Our next excursion was a boat ride, a day around the Caldera Sunset Cruise, and that's Heidi with some of the crew making friends, of course. And they take you to a private beach where they have serve you dinner, and there's lots of things you see out in the Caldera. Went by a nice cruise ship, and this is the highest village on the island. I can never pronounce the name of it right, but I will show you pictures of that later. The world famous White Beach. Coming up with the next thing would be the world famous Red Beach. And the reason they name those is not because of the color of the sand or the stones, it's the color of the background behind them. And if you'll notice, the Red Beach is technically closed because it's collapsing on the right due to a lot of tremors on that part of the island. And someday a bunch of people are going to get killed there when that all falls in, but nobody will know about it because there is no news, no newspaper, and no radio stations in Santorini. Everything goes by rumor. So if a bunch of Chinese people walk out of a restaurant one night and gets run over by a truck, nobody knows. Interesting. There are literally hundreds of little churches all over the island of Santorini, and we found out later it's not because they're particularly spiritual or religious people. It was that years ago you got a great tax break if you put a church on your property. So everybody did, and they're quite detailed and ornate inside. As you can see, this one is actually on the property of our hotel. And finally, to finish off with some miscellaneous pictures, this is down in Ia before the sunset. That just happened to be at the end of one of the alleyways one day. And that's Captain Nancy from our cruise, and he was replaced by Admiral Phil. Then things got done right, much better. Um, I think I doubled this picture. I'll get back to that in a second. Let's see here. Wouldn't be a Phil Kerner video without a few shots of the lovely Queen. That's a bookstore in Ia, and there are fun things to do in Ia besides read. You can rent a cat, and let's see, where is a cat? Oh, there's a cat. I might have to wake it up first. And then off to Fira for a nice day down there. It's a view over the caldera. That's where all the cruise ships come in. And then another death-defying walk to the Catharos Lounge. We almost died, but we got there, and that's a beach, again, full of rocks. And we were treated to some nice drinks with a nice, beautiful breeze blowing in. And there those shot glasses are. Compliments of the place. What's in them? They said everything. Kids don't smoke in Santorini. That's their way of getting that across to you. And finally, Michael, a little tour guide that day. Great guy. speaks perfect English. There you have it, the most expensive grilled cheese sandwich in the world. And finally, we end our trip, or else, Santorini. And he sat us down at his table and sang us this song.
The older I get, I'm having more pains. The days are shorter, but it's alright. The older I get, the more feelings I collect. Philosophers, I'm in my life. But there are moments of my life, moments without pains. Happy moments I spend with you. I'm sitting there, friend. All those great eternity nights, all that songs of the sky, to cry when I have to say goodbye. All those great sunshine days, all that sea or the sun. The less I regret for all the bad decisions I made. And I wanna say, forgive me, my friends, because I'm so afraid to be right. Bye bye, guys. But there are moments of my thank you. Moments without praise. Happy moments I spend with you. And now I'm sitting there. Hey guys, the older I get, the more I forget. Sometimes I don't remember my name.